So I have agonized over this recap because this was one conversation that Sonny and I got into. Hey, that man dodged me all over that conversation. But it was a good conversation. It was women's receipts, things women always get away with. And we kind of tried to have the conversation in the context of the things women get away with that men couldn't always get away with, right? And it doesn't mean men don't get away with it. It's just that we would come down a lot harder on men if they did the same thing, right? And it was a really tricky one. But we had the conversation, and Sonny was cool people. So thank you, Sonny, for having that conversation. And I want to do a quick, recap of it. Now, the first thing that came out really strongly, and I think that I want to talk to all my homegirls out there about this particular one, and it's just the physical abuse. And I know this conversation is not going to change the world because, I don't have the power or the magic wand, but I hope it's a conversation starter. We talk a lot about men being abusive and men hitting women, but we don't have the conversation about physical abuse when it's the woman delivering it. And we see it happen. And the sad thing is, yesterday I was talking to someone and she said, because I was asking her what she thought about it, and she says, what's interesting is that it doesn't even look out of place. And I want to give her credit for using that phrase because she's absolutely right. When you look at the social experiments, it's like, ooh, he hit her, and we just walk past. We assume that the man must have done something, so he deserves it. Ombono. But we wouldn't take that. So maybe we should put a bit of our money where our mouth is and not do that. The second thing is around sexualizing men. And as Sonny said, objectifying. If a man said, ooh, she looks good, I want a piece of that, we will talk about how the man was treating us like a piece of meat or a piece of furniture. But the reality is, we do it all the time. We talk about how a man looks good. And yeah, he looks good, right? And so maybe we should think about if the shoe was on the other foot. Being tactile. Now, me, guilty, because I'm as tactile as they come. But it's really interesting because I hate being touched. I hate anyone touching me in any way, but I'm so tactile. So it's really, really amazing how we don't like our personal space being invaded, but it's very easy for us to invade other people's personal space, and we don't set the same boundaries when it comes to men. The other one was around the flexibility in the delivery of traditional gender roles. I think that more and more women have a lot more flexibility when it comes to traditional gender roles than men do. And I'll give you an example. So we expect a man to be a provider. And so come hell, come rain, come sunshine, the man is the provider. So in a home where even if his partner earned more than he did, he's expected to provide. And yes, there are some exceptions where you'd have a wife who would support and would do certain things, but he's not allowed to slack. He has to provide. And so he doesn't have a break. I think a bit more women have, and don't get me wrong, it's not any easier for women. So it's not like suddenly a woman who's going to work doesn't have to cook. I think that women also have it just as tough, but more and more, I'm finding that women have a little bit more flexibility. Just a little bit, maybe 5 or 10%, but it's a bit more. But the truth of the matter is that a woman's success is also still judged by her traditional gender roles. So even if she's the CEO of something, whatever it is, she still has to come home and cook. But maybe there's a bit more flexibility. She can make a choice around certain things. So there is some flexibility there. The last one, and this one, I might get into trouble, but to be honest with you, it's facts. Chopping and changing the rules depending on whose head is on the chopping board. We do that all the time. So as women, we change the rules a lot of the time, and it's in different areas. So we want equality, but sometimes because we are physically unable to do something, we change the rule. If you want equality with men, then you should be able to do all jobs, right? But then the reality is that there are certain jobs that you're not physically able to do. So maybe then the conversation is that you want equity in certain areas. So we do need to kind of manage how we have some of the conversations. I can talk about homeboy's weight and how he's looking. But if homeboy had the same conversation about me and my weight, hey, even if Charlie homeboy said, if I asked homeboy and said, oh, you know what, am I looking good today? And homeboy said to me, oh, even if he said you're looking good and he didn't have the right look when he said I was looking good, he could get into trouble for that. So I guess the conversation is we need to have the same rules for both of us. But the truth is we still do live in a man's world. And so they get away with so much more. Men do get away with so much more than women could ever dream of getting away with. And so it's really, really, really important that we don't take advantage of where we could be getting away with things, just so that when we wake up as women and we want to talk about the things that men are doing wrong, we can credibly have those conversations. So here's to all my girls out there and my women out there. Yes, we'll get away with some things, and men have gotten away with lots of things for many years, but let's come correct when we do have to come correct, just so that we have a good leg to stand on. It's been real.